recorded, and I'm starting the recording right now. We will put the recording online after the fact, so you can go back, revisit it, and of course other artists who were unable to join us tonight can do so too. So that was announcement number one. And announcement number two is a little bit of an insider scoop. So yay you for, signing up. I see that Jean Seestadt is in the room. So, of course, everybody knows Jean, and you can all wave at her right now if you like. Jean, unfortunately, left us to take another position in the Big Apple. She's in New York City, working in a fantastic new role. And we were very, very sad, of course, to see her go, but super excited for this new step in her career. And, she's going to do great. And of course, she's here with us, which I think is really, really awesome. So thank you, Jean, for doing that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let me sneak back in. Nice to see you all. And
absolutely, all these folks, you've worked with them, and it's lovely of you to be back. And while I'm saying this, here's the inside scoop. We do have a new Craft Boston manager, and as luck would have it, it's our very own Molly Burrows. Who many of you have, recently worked with. So she kind of, grew into this role quite naturally. We're thrilled. She's going to be, a great addition. She's already been a good addition, great addition for us, since she joined us last August. So this was a very, very good transition. And she also, worked with Jean previously. So that just made a lot of sense for us. We're thrilled to have her, and she will lead this conversation tonight, so you can all congratulate her. And for those of you who do not know her yet, this is your very first chance to connect with her. And that's really all the announcements that I have. I am the wingman here in the back to help with any kind of questions that you may have. And I'm turning this over to Molly right now. Molly.
There we go. Thank you for that, Brigitte. And I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to be working with all of you more closely. A lot of our studs and drops folks have been working with you a little bit already, but, just a very exciting moment. And I have great shoes to fill. So thrilled that Jean could be here for this little sneak preview.
Oh, you guys have definitely upgraded. I'm thrilled to hear it.
But I wanted to get us started tonight just by saying thank you. I know there's lots of demands on your time and lots of Zoom calls for some of us. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this moment to connect. We're thrilled to see so many of you. And just to give you a quick overview for those of you who may not have done a mix and mingle with us before, we are the Society of Arts and Crafts. We are a 501c3 nonprofit based in Boston, Massachusetts. And we support the program Craft Boston, which is one of our artist advocacy programs. Studs and Drops, our current exhibition, is one of 4 Craft Boston shows that we'll be hosting this year. For more information on some of those other experiences, I would direct you to our website so you can get a sense of what we'll be up to all year long. And this particular mix and mingle is the second of our 3 mix and mingles that we're hosting for Studs and Drops. The first was just a little while ago. It was hosted by Brigitte and a panel of our artists talking about non-traditional materials and mixed media in earrings and other jewelry work. I believe Brigitte, thank you, is sharing the link to that mix and mingle. It's posted on our YouTube channel, and you're welcome to go back and view it at any point. There were a lot of great questions and great observations about working in non-traditional materials in that conversation. So I definitely encourage you, if you didn't get a chance to attend, to go back and check it out on YouTube. We also have another mix and mingle opportunity coming up on May 13th. It will be a conversation with Dr. Emily Storer of she's a curator of jewelry at the MFA, and Bella Naiman, who is the founder of New York Jewelry Week. So some big names that will be chatting with and getting a closer look at some of the jewelry in the collection of the MFA. So that's coming up on May 13th. Brigitte just posted the link to tickets for that event. Free tickets are available. That's also in the chat there for you to access at any point tonight if you'd like to. Which brings us to tonight and sort of the whole purpose of this conversation. Chance for us to get to know each other. And, you know, we were hearing from a lot of our artists that we were missing those casual conversations that happen when you're in a booth next to somebody for a couple of days in a fair. So this is really your chance to ask questions of each other, get a sense of each other's work. And, you know, this is really your space that we're trying to cultivate here. So on that note, if you have questions tonight, feel free to raise your hand. You can either wave or use the raise hand button if you're feeling Zoom savvy. But if not, feel free to just wave and that'll work fine. And we'll, you know, happily try to take as many of those questions to the room as we can. I do have a couple of points to get us started, but definitely feel free to jump in if you've got a thought that you'd like to share. We're also really excited to be seeing some examples of our artists' work tonight for a brief little show and tell. So artists, if you don't have your things quite handy, now might be a good moment to just make sure that they're ready in reach for that moment a little bit later tonight. We have started with everyone on mute just to make sure that it's easy to hear who's speaking and to sort of filter out background noise. So just a reminder, when you do want to ask a question, make sure that you're ready to unmute yourself so that we can all hear you. I know it can be tricky to keep track of that. So if I forget, please feel free to remind me. If you forget, I'll try to help remind you that we're trying to, you know, sort of keep that background noise to a minimum. And as Brigitte mentioned, we will be recording this, so you can check it out on our YouTube channel later and relive all of the fun. So without further ado, I have our first question for our artists in the room. Many of you make a variety of jewelry pieces, necklaces, bracelets, all manner of different pieces, but Studs and Drops is about earrings. And I'm curious, what makes earrings special? Do I have any volunteer to lead us off? Eileen.
Okay, well, I'll start off by saying that's mostly what I make is earrings. But, you know, earrings look different on everybody. So depending on the shape of your face, or even how your ears have been pierced, you know, sometimes the angle, that will direct how the earrings look on you. Plus, like, you can see my hair is very short. 30 years ago, my hair was very long and full. And when I cut off my hair, my style of earrings that I was making actually changed. So, you know, that I think it's, you know, each piece of jewelry is personal, but earrings, I think more than any other piece, because they're on your face, you know, and framing your features. They're really, it's each, it's very unique what each person can wear. And when you're trying to sell them, you know, everybody has a certain comfort level of this style of earring that they will wear. So.
Excellent. So very personal because they're so close to your features and very distinguishing in that way. I love that. Anyone else? I'm seeing maybe China.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I what Elena said. I think because the earrings are on your face and while you're talking, you're making an eye contact. You tend to notice earrings more than any other piece of jewelry. You know, it could be on your hands, maybe you're not noticing, but nowadays with so many Zoom calls, everybody's tangling the earrings. I think that they're becoming really trendy. Earrings are trendy. I personally like making necklaces more because the canvas is big, but yeah, earrings are good.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm seeing a hand from Barbara.
I can't stop making earrings sometimes. I think they're really fun and they're very versatile. They're also, from a marketing standpoint, for me, the easiest kind of jewelry to sell. I find that people can walk in and pick up a pair of earrings in, from $100 to $300-400, and not have to think as much about it as a bigger neck piece. Brooches are my second because I agree they're a nice canvas, but I don't know that they're always something that everyone goes to. It's very rare that someone does not have pierced ears, and even then you can accommodate them with clips. So I think when you get dressed up in jewelry, maybe earrings are the first thing you reach for. And there's so many different things you can do with earrings that I find that it's, I have to force myself like, oh, I've got to make some rings now.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Donna, do you want to take it next?
Oh, hi, I'm Donna Gillespie. I actually started out making big statement necklaces. It wasn't until about 2 years into making that I actually started making earrings. I kind of learned after really getting my style out there and my voice and finding who I was in my jewelry. It was actually a struggle to create earrings. I never duplicate any of my designs. So for me, for earrings, you're creating two. And so most people want the earrings to be the same. So I started out creating the same style on both sides. And now that I've kind of gotten my hand in it and I kind of understand what I'm doing better, I'm starting to make more asymmetrical styles, which makes me happy because I don't feel like I'm making the same thing twice. And at this point, I've made 97 pieces that have never been duplicated as far as the design. So it's definitely been a challenge for me to do the earrings, but I do agree that earrings tend to be the thing that people go to first, as far as, especially when they're talking a budget. It's actually a very good segue into getting and gaining collectors. You can usually get someone to purchase a pair of earrings first, and then once they read your style and learn that you're light and airy, they'll tend to buy some more stuff. I've gotten some really good long-time collectors now, and they've now, purchased my $3,000 necklaces because they purchased that one earring. So it really was a good way to kind of segue and change my work around a little bit. So.
Excellent. Sort of earrings as a gateway into more of your practice. Like that. All right. Anyone else? Thoughts on what makes earrings special? Angeli?
Oh, sorry. I was like, oh, where's some of you? Okay, so taking from Donna what she said, for me, especially for earrings, I started experimenting a lot with ear cuffs, in making asymmetrical earrings that way, like transforming the ear completely. So making structures that go through the ear over or halfway through the ear. So I've been experimenting a lot with that, not just creating, although I have mirror image earrings that are the same. I like playing a lot with asymmetry, just like Donna does, and just creating something, interpreting something different. I think it's always something good to do. So that's why I like to play with the ear a lot, because of that. So yeah.
Excellent. And Eric, a thought from you? I think you'll need to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. If I found a new craft I've been working on doing, it's called Tapestry Hexagon weaving. If it's very easy to do, if anybody's interested in doing that, it's very easy. I'll be glad to show you how to do it. It's very easy. I know how to rewarp it and start the weaving, and I make these in one day.
Wow.
Would anybody be interested in learning how to the Tapestry Hexagon weaving because I'm a wizard. I make these in one day rapidly. I've made at least 10 of them already.
That must be an incredible process.
I'll show you because I have one already made.
Mm.
Wow. Eric, could you perhaps put your email in the chat, because the chat will only be shared with everybody here in the room so that people can connect with you later on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Eric. Anybody else thoughts on what makes earrings special? If not, we can certainly move on, but I'm looking for a last. Oh, Sally. All right.
Okay, I'm unmuted, right? Okay. I think of earrings as the exclamation point of jewelry. The necklace is like the sentence. And I have very small wrists, so I don't make many bracelets because if I can't wear them, I've got tiny wrists and large hands, and they're very awkward for me. And because I'm working with my hands all day, I don't really like anything on my around my wrists. But because they actually look like exclamation points in some ways because they dangle and drop. And like some of the other artists today, I appreciate making more asymmetrical earrings than matching ones. And this has been something I've turned towards more over the last couple of years. I am not only a jewelry maker, my basis is wire. And I started working with wire and making wire basketry. And then once I was comfortable with that, it was like, oh, I can make earrings because I've always been an earring person. And it's just now I work with a lot of paper and wire, and they can be quiet, they can be question marks in a way sometimes, but I just like that final little punch that they give one's spirit in addition to whatever one is wearing. But I think there's a lot about the emotional part of wearing a piece of jewelry that's around your face and that hopefully flatters your face, but expresses something about who you are.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all of those answers. I'm also curious, what's the first pair of earrings that you remember making, and what did you learn from that process? And I'll look for hands again, but you can all take a second to think about that if you need it. I think maybe Cindy is thinking of a story. Yep.
You know, it was a simple disc, copper studs, learning how to transform the color of copper from the golden rosy to the deep dark red color is what I learned. The first earrings I ever made. That's what I love, the beauty of that, what fire could do to metal. I was really impressed.
Wow, I must say I'm a little curious. What does fire do to metal? I'm coming at this from a little bit of a different background. So can you tell me a bit more about that process?
Well, I'm not necessarily educated in the whole bit about the copper, but the heat, I am assuming it just kind of pulls from that metal and changes the color as it does with silver. You know, when you're annealing silver to a deep, bright red to anneal it so you can soften it and harden it as well. But with copper, the fire, it's almost like a fire scale, basically. And they were like these bowl-like studs. And the more fire you put to one area of the copper, the redder it would become. And to seal it, I would use a sealant like Renaissance wax or some other stuff to keep that color from, I'm assuming, fade. I don't even know if it fades or not, but this was, gosh, 10, 12 years ago since I've played with copper.
Oh, well, that's That's so interesting to learn, and thank you for sharing that. Can I hear from Barbara and then Donna and Eileen, perhaps?
I was just going to add, this process is a heat oxidizing. The color is achieved as the torch is heating the copper, and it will last. It will dull, but it will last. It's like a color patina from heat that's particular to copper. The first pair of earrings I really remember making and falling in love with were based on a Japanese crest design, and they were overlapping wire work. It was a really good experience in learning how to manipulate wire and solder at all the points. They were sort of rectangular, and they all interlinked, but I don't know if other people are familiar with the crests, the Japanese crest designs, that they families each had their own crest. But I find those often inspiring for other pieces of jewelry too.
Do you have any examples of those crests in your current work that you have on hand that you could maybe show us, or
No, but
not what you're working on
I
right
could grab a book and come back. I could in my design room.
up to you? If you have a second to do so, but
Yeah, I'll do that while someone else is talking, and
all right,
bring
sounds
that
good.
back.
Donna and Eileen, I'm afraid I can't remember which of you I asked to go first, but maybe can we go with Donna next?
Am I unmuted now? Okay, so the first pair of earrings, since I started out making large statement necklaces first, I wasn't really restricted on size or weight necessarily. I mean, obviously I wanted the necklace to be comfortable, but I wasn't so restricted. And so the first pair of earrings that I ever made, I actually realized I made them way too heavy because I'm so used to sawing and piercing metal and then layering by cold connections. And so I had this really intricate design done, and then realized it was so heavy, there was no way I could wear it. So I definitely didn't want to put that on the market for anybody, but I've actually framed those as a memory and to kind of show me where I started. But I very quickly learned that you have to pay attention to the weight for sure. You definitely want something that's light and dangly and that moves very well. So I have learned a tremendous amount from the first pair that I ever made. And I've really learned how to put my voice into my earrings and still have the layering and the piercing and all the designs that I have in my large statement necklaces, but on a more scaled down level.
I love that you framed them to hold on to that memory. That must be sort of a great token of that moment. And Eileen, if you'll maybe share your story next.
Okay. The earrings that I'm thinking about were a pair that I had made in college. And what I always remember about them is I didn't know as much as I know now. So when you don't know, you're much more willing to go ahead and just do whatever, because you don't know, that's not the way you're supposed to do that. And they ended up, they were a very sculptural ginkgo leaf earring. And I used, I think, fine silver, sterling silver, and nickel silver. And I just got these 3 beautiful grays. And those are the ones that, the first ones I can remember making. I mean, certainly through the years, there's been many, many earrings that, I've loved, and then the handful that I've kept for myself. But those are the ones that I always think about, because that was where there were no restrictions. You didn't know, so you just went ahead and did. And I was, I was certainly very happy with the results. So.
I'm sure that beginner's mind, that can be a real gift to just, have all of the options open in front of you. And Alia, do you want to go next?
She's muted.
I'm not hearing her.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, she's muted.
Give me 1 second. All right, Alia, do you want to try that again?
Still muted.
Alia, if you're open to it, you might be able to put your story in the chat, and it won't be quite the same as getting to hear you tell it, but that way we can still.
There could be, it could be the mute button on the computer rather than the Zoom mute.
And her volume may also be down.
I know even a year into this experience, we're all still getting acclimated to all these different platforms, but appreciate your patience and your help, Eileen and Jeff, with trying to troubleshoot here. But hopefully Alia can sort of juggle with that for a second. And of course, if you can't find a solution, feel free to put your story in the chat. I think that would still be a lovely way for us to get to hear it. And does anybody else have a story of a meaningful pair of earrings and what they learned from it that they'd like to share? One more from Barbara.
Okay, I found the book, and I actually found the actual, these were, see this design right here. So I still have that old pencil mark from 4 decades plus ago, but this is just one page. Is it backwards, or can you read it?
I can read it. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing those.
But there are lots of, there are lots of really inspiring crests.
Lovely. Well, actually, Barbara, I think you may have just kickstarted. I know I asked a lot of our artists if you would be able to have some examples of your work on hand to give us a sense of what you're working on and maybe what ideas you're exploring at the moment. So is there anyone who'd like to get us started with showing a few samples of their work? And Sally, yes, I know you have some things ready to go if you'd like to get us started.
Okay, I am working on earrings these days, and a bowl, and the bowl is based off the concept of my earrings. And I work with wire and paper. And what I'm going to show you right now is a pair that are in what I call the ghost stage. And I will hold them up here. And this is what I call a Facets earring. And it is made, my base material is a mat board that I'm in my studio right now. So here's just a sliver of it right now. And I use lots of X-Acto knives and scissors and things. And I kind of just build it sculpturally and actually use Scotch tape to kind of bind it together while it's in the assembly stage. And then right now, the ghost stage for me is when I take a tissue paper and I use white and I paint the tissue paper on with a glue mixture with a paintbrush, dipping in the glue. And what that does is when it dries, it seals it and it makes it solid. Although this is there, it's cavernous inside or whatever it is, empty inside, so it's not heavy, but it seals it so it's hard. And then what I do is with all the different papers that you can see kind of in the background, some of the papers that I've got, those are mostly tissue papers up there. And I've got other Unru papers and Lamali papers that are elsewhere in my studio. And I cut and attach a different color or a design on each facet or side of the earring. And this is a case where you can really see that, yes, they are very asymmetrical. I use common colors between the two earrings so that they look like they're a set with each other. But again, and the other thing I do with my earrings is I have it so that it can rotate on the post part, the dangle part, so that the wearer can essentially decide which side she wants to have face outwards. And because it looks very different depending upon what angle you see it at. And this concept of facets for me started actually with a paperboard sculpture that I made several years ago, quite a few years ago. That's, tabletop but tall and has all sorts of different facets or angles. And again, it's like, I'm not sure what prompted me to transfer that concept from a tabletop sculpture into earrings, but I did. And actually previous to the earrings, I transferred the concept into more of a box where it is, I can actually I've got one in my studio here.
Molly, could you possibly go with speaker view so we can actually see the work? Because with speaker view, she will become, I believe it's speaker view, she will become full screen and we can see what she's showing us.
So I believe you can set that if you go up to the view button in your top right corner. I believe that can be controlled on a user level.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And that is actually a great point, Jeff, to make, is that if you change the view on Zoom, you should be able to magnify particular views if there's somebody's work you'd like to see more closely.
Thank you.
Oh, Sally, I think you're on mute, but I love those colors. Wow.
Okay, here's the box. Here's a box, for example, that's a facets box, and which is what gave rise to the earrings. And it's different from all sides. Here's the base. Here's the little interior where you can put a pair of earrings. And then the lid, which I've learned I have to carve so it fits in exactly one direction only, so that the piece functions in terms of where the lid will fit on the box. So that's what I did after the sculpture. And then I transferred that to earrings. And I've also got plans to turn this into a necklace as well. And I'm also working on the concept of facets as a bowl shape, which is really going to be hard to tell. It's a big mess right now. This is the prototype stage. And it's where I make all my mistakes and get my learning done. So I figure out, okay, here's how I blow it up to a different size and shape. And again, these are the paperboard pieces that I essentially cut and tape together. And then I will again turn it into a ghost and then apply the papers. And for the first one, I really get a lot of learning about how not to back myself into a corner and creating, say, 3 different angles that will never meet or something like that. But it's a really fun exploration and experience. But to me, facets represents to me our lives, because I know as things happen to me, I change, and that's over many years, and it's like a different facet has been added to me. And at sometimes you see one side and you see certain things, and another time in your life you'll see other parts of your facets. But that to me is just the deeper level of the concept behind facets and how I visualize it.
Well, thank you for that, Sally. Does anybody else have examples of their work handy that they'd like to share and tell us a little bit about them? Let's see, Eileen, I see your hand. I'm going to give it just a second to see if anyone who hasn't spoken yet would like to jump in, but I'm not seeing any new hands. So Eileen, if you'd like to show us.
Okay, so I laid some stuff out on a thing. I'm gonna put it, I don't know, actually, I'm putting it on my computer, so hopefully it won't hit any of the buttons. But so I am wearing, I don't know if you can see, these are a pair of earrings. There's a bar with a little stone set in them, and I actually call these face framer earrings because they actually do frame the face, and they latch behind. And then I've done them, and these are really my favorites. I've done them with oxidized silver and an 18 karat gold wire. And when they're worn on the face, they, on most people, they tilt out so that you see the oxidized bar, the high polished gold wire, and with the pearl, and it's just a nice pop of color. There's a little bit of dimension, but they're very linear, which I tend to like. Then I also have, when I started, I worked in strictly sterling silver. Then I moved to 18 karat gold and unusual stones.
Eileen, I'm going to jump in for just a second. We're getting a few comments that people are having a hard time seeing the earrings. Do you mind holding them
I'm
really
sorry.
close to
You know what? I'm seeing
that's
you on the
perfect.
screen, I guess, and that's what. Okay, so these, I don't know. Can you see them?
I
Okay,
think that's
these
better.
are 18 karat gold with druzy quartz, which is a geode. The surface of the stone is covered with tiny crystals, and it's probably 20 years ago when I saw my first pair of druzy, and that I was hooked on that. I use a lot of druzy. I use a lot of fossilized stones. This, I make again, here, tell me if you can see it. Okay. So this is a pendant brooch. On the back is a converter, which slides onto the pin stem. And so the piece, okay, let's see. The piece can be worn as both a pendant or a brooch. And I do a lot of those. This piece has fossilized coral in it. I'm not sure. Wait, there. Okay. If you can see that, I have another piece of fossilized coral here. Whoops. And you can see like that flower in the center, which is the pattern of the coral. And then depending on where the stone is lying when it, where the coral's lying when it fossilizes, you get the different colors in there. I have right now, these are in progress, and this is, fossilized dinosaur bone. That's also a stone I like to use, and that has these, can you see? Delineations. Whichever way I'm turning, it's going the opposite way. Delineations in the stone, like little, basically the cells, and then the minerals give it the color. So like this is red, meaning that there was iron in the ground when this fossilized.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a pair of earrings made with fossilized dinosaur material. And I would love to see more, Eileen, but I think I'm gonna ask you to
Okay.
pause there just because we've got a couple of other
Okay.
hands that I've seen go up. Sam, I saw you wave a moment ago. Would you like to show us a quick example?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I thought this kind of like goes back to some of the beginning questions too. Just as we were on this Zoom, I have a really dear friend whose birthday is today, and yesterday her husband was like, hey, I need a last minute gift. What do you have? And came over and picked up a pair of rose cut diamond stud earrings for her, knowing, you know, we know her well and like that she wears studs really well and all the time. And so it's like a nice, easy, when somebody knows what kind of style their significant other wears, it is like a really easy gift thing for people to pick up. I just posted these today. I thought was good for an Earth Day post with the green and the blue gems. And I usually do a lot of more of the bezel setting, but with these, I did some little prongs, which I haven't done in a while. Has a little cube with a diamond. So it has the post and then also the movement. But that was just a pair that was recently finished and easy to grab. So I definitely find that earrings are a great sell, the way people, you know, take them out and put different ones on. And it's definitely something that a lot of people go to for jewelry. So
Excellent. Well, thank you for showing those. I do think you're right. Perfect for Earth Day, those cool tones. Goodness, I see we have 5 hands. I think this, oh, and 6. I think we're gonna try to get through these next 6 hands quickly, but you know, I know that we all want to see each other's work, but I want to make sure that we have a little bit of time left at the end for you all to ask questions. So if you can maybe keep it to 1 or 2 examples, and we'll try to give everybody a chance here. I know, Donna, you've had your hand up for a while. I want to go back to Alia actually to see if she's able to, if you were able to fix your mute
Can you
issues.
hear me?
Yes, excellent.
Yay, okay. So these are kind of earrings that I've been making for a while. These are called the Peacock Strut earrings. And I love to mix metal, and I love to pierce, and I love to rivet. So this layer of, this is actually gold filled metal on top of oxidized sterling with a rose quartz. And this is actually the pair of earrings that I've had for like, I don't know, 8 years, that sort of started the whole body of work. And it's in the picture behind me, but just, I love my handsaw, and I love to rivet and just, and make things really kind of intricate. I'm inspired by textiles from where I'm from, like South Asian textiles, sort of paisley patterns mixed with Panamanian glaze work on earthenware. So sort of real graphic geometric patterns, but with a ornate flavor, I guess. So that's my current work. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm seeing some other folks in the chat who also love their saws. It seems to be a popular feeling. Jeffrey, would you like to go next?
I think there were a couple people ahead of me, but I'll try to be quick. The things I grabbed weren't earrings, which is somehow appropriate for me because I didn't start making earrings till a couple of years ago. I really resisted because they were twice as much work. And I tend towards mismatched pairs. My work is all sculptural. I don't work with precious material, which is another anomaly. My work is in polymer where the color is actually in the material. This is a brooch. See if we can get it, called Lyric Eden. Actually going to be in a exhibition for the Society of North American Goldsmiths. This was a brooch that I was wearing a minute ago. And now I'm entirely sympathetic to people trying to show their work online and not knowing where to put it. This is called Catch a Falling Star. And those are both examples of a reinforced armature technique that I use because the material will not support those delicate little shapes. But the other technique I use is hollow forms, and this is a brooch called Buttercream Dawn. And the central bead is actually trapped in there. This is built around it and it's trapped in there. It's not mounted or constrained by anything other than the diameter of the hole that holds it in there.
Does it move because of that?
Oh yes, it moves and spins and jingles around. And I've actually, I don't have them with me, but I've done earrings with that are actually very similar to all these pieces, scaled down and simplified some, but also with that trapped piece inside.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those. I know you've got a lot of fans here in the chat, so hopefully you all can connect as well. All right, Mimi, and then Donna and Barbara.
Hi. Let's see. I'm very much, I go back and forth with jewelry, but a big part of my inspiration is botanical. First, I'm going to show you something. I enter flower shows. There's actually a category where you make jewelry from plant material. So first, I'm going to show you an award-winning bangle. Just for fun, I do that. I'm working on one right now for the Newport Flower Show. So if anyone's in Newport in June, there will be a piece of jewelry there by me. Anyway, for studs and drops, I have a pair of small bamboo studs. I recently finished up a pair of dangle. I work mainly in precious metal, silver and gold. I'll carve the models out of silver, mostly. I'm working on a small hoop, which is not finished yet, but I'll add all of the detail and have a mold made and get those cast. Real quick, I've made in the past from a lotus leaf. I also do botanical painting, but I care about the details. So they're very correct in that regard. This was a pendant, and you know, the back is as pretty as the front. So just one more quick thing. Recently, I entered a pearl competition, but these are completely handmade and hand wrought. I studied metalsmithing at RIT 100 years ago. And these are pearls that come from the Sea of Cortez in Mexico. They're very unusual with zircons. So, or spinel, sorry. So that's my presentation.
Amazing. Well, thank you for those. They're gorgeous. And congratulations on the award, by the way.
Oh, the flower show thing is strictly hobby. You know, it's jewelry, but it's a hobby and it's fun. And more work than real jewelry, I'm going to add.
I can imagine. It must be a whole other set of variables to wrangle with. All right, can I go to Donna next? Are you ready for us?
Okay, so this is actually one of the most recent necklaces that I created. It's solid copper, and it's multiple pieces cut out, pierced. I use a jeweler saw as well. So absolutely love my saw. This is actually a big statement piece that I have, and it's 12 different pieces all hand riveted together. I cold connect all of my work. I can solder. I do like to solder, but I actually love the representation of cold connecting things, because I feel like in life we have these moments where that's actually what my work is all about, is my life. I use my life as my story to tell all of my different trials, tribulations, good things, bad things that go on in my life. Each piece is representational of a story that I have in my life or a specific situation. So this one is called Contemplation. And each of these shapes represents family. And I can zoom in just a little bit. And I actually work with copper and brass. So this is actually an ammonia rock salt patina that I do. So that's one of the pieces that I was recently doing. And then this is actually a pair of earrings that are in studs and drops as well. So this is all hand pierced, layered together, as you can see. And then my logo is actually stamped on the back. Not sure if you can see that, if I can get close enough. And like we were talking about with the movement, I definitely like things that dangle and move around. And I've gotten better at learning what gauge of metal to use so that they are not heavy, and how to pierce correctly so that you get that light, airy feeling. Same thing with my necklaces as well.
Thank you so much for showing the back. I love how much detail and thought can go into a side that, you know, isn't necessarily the one you think of as being presented, but it's just such a great touch. Barbara, are you ready for us next?
Sure. I see we're running short on time, so I'm going to try to make this brief so there's room for people to ask questions. I've been building a collection for last year and a half or two on an ancient Korean technique called kumbu. Let's see. So this is 24 karat gold. You can see how fine it is. So I will work, this is all sandwiched between some tracing paper. So here's a pair of finished earrings. I really love the quatrefoil design. The back is 18 karat bimetal embossed. The front is the silver with the kumbu inlaid in the embossed design. Is that, do I have it held up so that you can see it? Sometimes I will patina to make the gold stand out. So you can, it's just playing with the kumbu and the patterns and shapes in alternating ways. So this is in process. With some flesh set diamonds, you know, this is one of a pair of more expensive earrings that will have a stone at the top to hang from. But I'll cut it off there so there's time for questions.
Well, thank you so much for that. And, you know, as we said at the start, this is your space. So if any of you have questions for each other, you know, this is a great moment to ask. Please don't feel shy. Okay. And if not, I do have, you know, we promised to answer the age-old question of which is better is, I think, the wrong word, but what do we prefer, studs or drops? So I'm going to put a poll in the room for everybody. Let's see if I can do this correctly. So you should all see a poll pop up on your screen, and it'll ask you studs, drops, clip-ons, or up with. So thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. If you'd like to support the Society of Arts and Crafts and the work that we're doing, you can text for craft to 44321. I'll be putting that in the chat in just a moment in case you didn't catch it. It's a great way to support us in the work that we're doing. And you can also support us by coming out to more of our events. There's lots more to come in Studs and Drops. We have artist demos starting next week. We have our next Mix and Mingle on May 13th. I'm going to close the poll here so that we can see the results. And it looks like a runaway drops with 53%. All right. Excellent. Well, I'm glad we've got that resolved with so much enthusiasm. And thank you again so much for being here, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great night.
Molly? Molly?
Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye, Jean.
Molly, can you hear me?